and going to be pretty good choice.
Teams rolling out for qualifying, which will start shortly. You know, I said 2021 winners without a top 10 this year. What a list. Truex, Hamlin, Bell, Bowman, Byron. None of them have a top 10 finish in this young season.
Well, nature of the beast. I mean, that's exactly what we wanted and expected. The vision that was with this next-gen car, and it's delivering certainly that. You're seeing Colleague Racing. You're seeing Reddick. You said it. If I had to guess who was going to be leading the most laps, he'd got 90, not 100, but it was Tyler Reddick. It wasn't last year's champ of Larson or a Chase Elliott or a Kevin Harvick. It was that bunch. A lot of parity all throughout the field for sure.
So here's what will happen next. We've had one 35-minute practice session instead of splitting them in the A and B groups. That was done by NASCAR at the request of the teams. And now the teams are divided into Group A and Group B. There is a metric, it's called, and it's a mathematical equation that takes into account last week's finish, point standing position, and fastest lap in last week's race. And the drivers are racked and stacked in that order. And then odd, even, the teams are split into an A and a B group. More on that in a moment. Here's Regan.
Well, Mike Ryan Blaney, very quick in that first practice session. You made a lot of laps, a lot of long runs. Now you got to switch gears and get ready to make one lap here and go fast. How do you do that as a driver?
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah, we know we're able to make a lot of laps in our Menards Pennzoil Ford Mustang, and just kind of get a feel for what it did. 15 laps, 20 laps into a run. But yeah, now we got to turn around and try to make one good lap. So I think we got pretty good speed. I felt like our best laps were 5-6 laps in to a run. So hopefully we made some good changes to try to get one good lap in, firing off. But proud of the speed so far. Just got to keep working on it. We learned a lot. It was tough with all the wind around here today. It was pretty crazy how gusty it was, but it makes it fun.
Good luck, Ryan.
Ryan will be in the Xfinity Series booth today with Joey Logano and Adam Alexander to call the race. So, using the odd-even format, Group A, 18 drivers competing only against the other drivers in Group A to be one of the 5 fastest to move on to the final round, and Christopher Bell should be one of those 5.
Because he was certainly one of the fastest cars in practice just a short time ago. 29.87 in race trim. He's going to have to best that in qualifying trim. Tires are pumped up, pressures are pumped up. Ought to have a lot of grip in this race car.
And Clint and Mike, he appeared to be one of the few drivers that was fast at practice that did a one-lap possible mock qualifying run.
You saw it right there in the throttle trace, all but wide open in 3 and 4.
29.75 for Christopher Bell, who finished 7th in this race last year. Will that be good enough?
It's not as fast as I thought, but time will tell right here.
Cody Ware has 3 starts here at Las Vegas in the Cup Series and a best of 31st last September. For Rick Ware Racing. Clint looks like he's carrying that nose, that front splitter, a little higher than some of the other cars we've seen.
And in both corners wasn't able to get it to the bottom. We heard Chase Briscoe talk about the front floating, not being able to turn it down to the white line. Certainly Cody wasn't being able to do that in his 15-hour.
Regan?
Mike Brad Keselowski out of his race car, 28th in practice, watching what's going on the racetrack now with qualifying. What more do you need out of the Fastenal car?
Yeah, you know, our Ford Mustang, we're just not getting down into the corner with enough speed. So made some changes here, and hopefully they'll pay off for you.
Thanks, Brad.
All right, we'll let him watch his teammates run. Chris Buescher in the 17, 1 top 10 in 10 Las Vegas starts. That happened in 2020.
And you saw it right there in 1 and 2. Navigated through the middle of the corner. I don't know if it got loose on him, didn't feel comfortable getting down to the white line, but I would think in a qualifying format right here, the shortest way around is going to be the fastest way around. A lot of time lost in 1 and 2.
Second with a 30.52.
30.52.
William Byron and his Rick Hendrick Chevrolet. 2 top 10s here at Las Vegas for Willie B. Let's put the ghost car in, compare him to Christopher Bell.
And he ran the middle of the racetrack as well. Not quite up as high as we saw Ware. You can see all the speed was lost right there in 1 and 2. See if he can gain on it in 3 and 4.
Clint, he had to come out of the throttle just briefly, completely out both ends of the racetrack, right in the middle.
Tells me that it's probably loose. Car's wanting to come out from underneath of him, has to crack the throttle.
He's about a quarter second slower than Christopher Bell.
I don't know. After the qualifying session last weekend, I'm probably going to be a little timid here, a little bit on the safe side with my setup. I say the crew chief's going to do the same thing, regardless of what you told him on the balance. Probably going to make sure that that car's a little bit tight, a little bit snug for this qualifying session.
B.J. McLeod out of Florida, 27th at Daytona, and had a lead lap finish in California last week. Has 5 starts here. Live Fast Racing, a lot of air under that nose as he comes across 32 flat. Justin Haley finished 23rd in both races here last year. Or excuse me, 23rd in both races this year. Daytona and California. He has 2 Cup starts at Las Vegas.
And these guys have had a lot of speed pretty much on every racetrack we've been to, going clear back to the Coliseum. And I think I've seen right here knocking on the door to Christopher Bell.
And Haley 4th, 30.53. Regan.
Mike Bubba Wallace sitting here on pit wall, actually looking at some of the SMT data. Bubba, we know that that's important for the drivers, but in these quick sessions, how important is that, and how much can you learn from that?
A lot. You know, I think I had nightmares from California. We were way off last weekend, so we over-adjusted. My feedback, we over-adjusted throughout practice, but I think we got a good baseline for going into qualifying here. So just trying to learn as much as I can. Seabell laid down a really good lap, so just trying to see who's different, who's a little bit faster, slower, just trying to pick up on little things. This car is new, and especially for me, and so just trying to figure out everything we can go. But one good thing is our Dr. Pepper Cream Soda Toyota Camry looks pretty damn good, so we're good.
Good luck, Bubba.
All right. Rookie Todd Gilliland had 7 truck starts here, and he's 5th fastest with a 30.68. Chase Elliott, runner up here last fall, has 3 top 5s here.
I want to see what he chooses in 1 and 2 right there. You can see chose big arc down to the bottom line. That's where all the speeds gain and loss, it seems like, in 1 and 2. And he got through there really, really good. Had to lift a little bit getting into 3.
Elliott's car carrying the right side of the nose higher than the left. A little different from
Look how much lower he was off of 4 and coming down on the apron. Gained some of that speed back, but no more than I said. All the speeds gained and lost in 1 and 2. Obviously, you saw it right there getting into 3. The wind blowing down the back straightaway plays a big role in that. If that thing was a little bit loose, a little bit timid, have to crack out of the gas, just like you saw.
All right, that means Justin Haley's on the bump spot to advance. Tyler Reddick led 90 laps at California. His car owner, Richard Childress, heard Ukrainian President Zelensky saying, "I don't want to ride out of here. I need ammunition," and Childress pledged 1 million rounds to the Ukraine.
So he ran the middle of 1 and 2 and gained a lot of ground, kept a lot of momentum, tried to do the same thing in 3 and 4. Look at him coming back, though. Not quite enough. But that's a different line that we've seen all day long. You know these drivers from here on out are going to be paying attention.
Missed it by 15 thousandths, but in good position to advance.
Kyle Larson took home the checkered flag at Fontana. Now we're bringing the party to Sin City, where a star-studded list of winners look to cash in again. The NASCAR Cup Series from Las Vegas, Sunday at 3 Eastern on Fox.
Group A, 9 done and 9 to go. Chris Buescher is on the bump spot, 5th fastest. Ty Dillon will be the next to qualify. Here's Regan.
Well, Mike, another one of those drivers. It's going to be in Group B. Alex Bowman, we were standing there talking about what you're looking at on the data, talking about which line you want to run when you get down to turn 1. When will you make that decision?
Probably on the up to speed lap, I guess. I feel like I'm kind of surprised that some people are running the middle and qualifying in 1 and 2. So I don't know. We'll see. I've been struggling a little bit to get it through the bumps on the bottom. So I guess it gives you an option. But our Ally 48 car is pretty decent. Losing a little time in 1 and 2, but pretty good in 3 and 4. So trying to lean on what my teammates are doing and be better for the race.
Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Regan. Here's the rest of Group A. Ty Dillon, Kevin Harvick, Cole Custer, Ricky Stenhouse, Kurt Busch, Daniel Suarez, Eric Almirola, Austin Dillon, and Eric Jones. Remind you they are competing only against the other drivers in Group A. The fastest 5 in this group move on to the final round.
You heard Alex Bowman in his interview talking about, all right, we just saw Reddick, and I alluded to it. We saw him, he ran the middle of the racetrack. So if you're Kevin Harvick, you're Ty Dillon right here, does that change your mindset? A little bit of that. These crew chiefs and the engineers are going to tell them, hey, man, he looked pretty loose. You can see him sawing on the wheel, getting in. He just didn't want to pull on the wheel to get that thing to the white line, because a lot of times if your car's loose and you do that, it tank swaps, you have to come out of the gas and kill your lap altogether. It looked to me like he was a little bit gingerly with it, getting in and let it have its head all the way around.
Ty Dillon, middle of the corner, up against the 5th place car, Chris Buescher, to see who moves on. Kind of a throwback old school paint scheme, this Gettle Plumbing, Heating and Air, when we used to have local sponsors on the cars everywhere we went. They're here in Arizona and Nevada and Southern California.
And you talked about the 5th place car. So important to talk about. This is the group rounds, right? It does not matter to be the fastest car right now. If you're Christopher Bell, yes, you're happy with your race car, but you need to go out there. You're going to hopefully make that top 5 and make it to the final round to see the next round.
That's the goal for Kevin Harvick, 2-time Las Vegas winner. Top 10 finish in 5 of the last 6 races here.
Looking good. You heard him have to get out of the gas quite a bit. One thing Kevin's got in the back of his mind is the nightmare of last week. Cannot dig yourself out of a hole. I mean, he did it, obviously, somehow, some way. They ran 25th to 30th all day long. Into the race, lo and behold, the closer, you look over your shoulder, and he's in the top 10.
And it looks like Harvick will bump in 5th, 30-36. Regan.
Chase Elliott currently 3rd of Group A. Chase, we saw your lap. What do you need to do if you make it to this next round to be just a little bit better?
Yeah, I think 1 will be around the middle, and 1 and 2, I ran the bottom, and it sounded like I was the only one to do that, so that was probably not smart. I feel like I came to the green pretty good. Thought I had an okay 1 and 2, even with getting through those kind of the worst of the bumps. And then I was probably just a little soft into 3 and just didn't make it back up off of 4. So our Napa Chevy's been okay. We just haven't hit it exactly like I want it. I don't exactly know what I want yet either. So it's been it's been a challenge, but been fun. And these things are, we're all still learning and trying to figure out where you can live with these things and be comfortable, for qualifying versus the race. Is still a learning process for me, so we'll see. Thanks, Chase.
You saw Cole Custer there knock his teammate Kevin Harvick out of that. Such a crucial thing. Kevin Harvick, again, missing this top 10. It's going to be interesting. It's so close, a 35 to a 36. Just crumbs right there. Cole Custer was able to beat him, and the 47 is way ahead of him. So now Cole Custer's on the bubble.
Ricky Stenhouse got a top 10 last week, his first since Nashville last June. He's had 2 top 10 finishes here. Trying to put a little sunshine in the day. Let's see. Yes, he does. He's 4th. That knocks out Cole Custer. And it moves
Nice job.
William Byron onto the bubble. Kurt Busch, 8th last week at Auto Club Speedway, but had an average running position of 21st. He won here in September 2020.
Whoa, big time loose. Didn't get it quite to the white line. That's what I was saying. If you're about a half a car groove up, you start hitting that thing, a huck-a-buck, what I call it, whatever you want to call it. The back end starts bouncing around way out of the gas and lost a ton of speed. definitely going to pay the price.
Yep. Yeah, Kurt Busch 11th at 30.71, and let's show you why. Turn 2.
You can see he tries to pull it down to the bottom. Like I said, the car's a little bit uneasy, and as soon as it starts hitting these bumps, watch this, boom. Just like last weekend, those things do not like to be rough. It starts bouncing the rear around, and he's in trouble.
William Byron still on the bubble as Daniel Suarez for Team Trackhouse. His 4th at California tied that team's best ever finish. And he's going to need a little here in turns 3 and 4 if he's going to bump William Byron.
Looks a little slow in the middle, so I can tell.
Now looking at, and it was definitely slow in the middle, but looking at his wheel, how he was sawing on the wheel, he was a lot of pull on the wheel. I think that was tight. He had to come out of the gas for a totally different reason than a Tyler Reddick did.
So Byron is still on the bubble with 3 cars to go. Here is Eric Almirola, the only driver to finish in the top 10 in the first 2 races of this season. Battle for the bubble right here.
Car looked like it washed out, got into the middle of the corner and got tight, paying the price up off of the corner. Same thing right there. You see he had a big arc. That tells me it's comfortable, but he couldn't get it to the white line. Looks tight.
So Byron holds off another challenger. Almirola is 6th in this group. 2 cars to go. William Byron still on the bubble.
I love this knockout format. It gets me on my feet. You can tell I'm excited, and these drivers are too. Austin Dillon knows what he has to do right here.
Runner-up in California, his best finish since his 2020 win in Texas.
Well, he rifled that thing off into turn 1 and 2. The thing turned, rotated in the middle, just like you didn't see Almirola's car doing. Huge momentum down the backstretch.
Completely out of the throttle, but just for an instant, and then right back to it. Looks like Dillon is going to bump in and knock out Byron. Dillon is 4th. That puts Stenhouse on the bubble with 1 to go. And that one is Eric Jones for Petty GMS Motorsports, 3rd at California. His best finish since he climbed into the number 43. Led more laps last week than in all of last season.
He didn't come to the line. You can see his ticker with the speed coming to the line. It just told me that he could get through 3 and 4 quite as good as he wanted to. And as soon as it got to 1 and 2, he started losing speed. Definitely not what that kid expected after the week they had last week.
So Jones is 9th. And that means the 5 drivers that will move on to the final run and run for the Busch Light pole are Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott, Austin Dillon, and this man, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Coming up next, the other half of the field, Group B, to put 5 more drivers into the final round. 5 drivers are locked into the final round from Group A, led by Christopher Bell, who has never won a pole for a NASCAR Cup race. Now, due to the metric being lined up odd, even, as far as last week's finish and point standings and fastest lap last week, we have Group B ready to go. Regan?
Well, Mike, the fifth car to make it through Group A, going to race for the pole here in just a little bit. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Very fast last week, obviously quick again this week. What it is about this new car that's lining up with your style?
Car's a lot of fun to drive. It's tough to drive, which I enjoy, but last week I underdrove qualifying and we had a really good practice session. Today I felt like our practice session was not good at all, and we made some more adjustments going into qualifying, and our Sunny D Camaro was really strong and felt really good on my warm-up lap, and I was like, all right, here we go, I'll commit in 1 and 2, and it felt really good. So happy with our big pickup that we had from practice. We'll make a few more adjustments with, it's getting a lot colder, clouds coming in. I think the track will have a little bit more grip, so make a few more adjustments, see if we can't better ourselves now.
Good luck, Ricky.
Thanks, Regan. 19 drivers ready to go in Group B, but one driver you will not see qualify is Kyle Busch. In practice, he has a left rear tire go down with disastrous result.
Yeah, you saw it cut down right there, whether it cut down, low air pressure, whatever the case may be. Huge costly problem for the 18 car. Damage on both the rear and the front of the car. A lot of work to be done getting a backup car ready for him for tomorrow's race.
Crew Chief Ben Bayshore indicated they will go to a backup car, but that car still has a lot of assembly to be done to it and get it ready.
The Biff, we saw in practice, he had his hands full right here in 1 and 2. Looks like they got him tightened up, running the middle of the racetrack.
Well, when he had that issue, didn't he have the left front down on the flat when that car tried to get away from him?
Well, and then it was like the left front was stuck to it, and the rear end was out from around him. But I think it was all spawned from being just a little bit too low, got on the apron and got loose. That's easy to do.
He's had 2 top 3 finishes here in Las Vegas. Made his last Cup start here in 2016.
Excuse
Good
me,
lap,
what
buddy.
year?
Good lap.
2016. That was a long time ago, Mike.
Yes, it was.
Still time for me to get back in this deal. Might wait a few years.
You just sit your butt right down. You're not going anywhere. I need you up here. Harrison Burton, the rookie for the Wood Brothers. First time here in a Cup car. He's run 4 Xfinity Series races here. He has top 10 finishes in all of them.
You can see him lifting out of the gas a little bit, getting in a 3.
I think the plan right here is make no mistakes. Get a good clean lap. Let's get into the show.
30-19, judging from the first group in Group A, I don't know that that's going to be good enough for a top 5.
Stenhouse, the bump lap in Group A was 30.74.
See Ross Chastain right here. I think he's in that same category that you just described, Harrison Burton. Get a good solid lap in. Do not tear this car up. Got a little bit behind out here on the West Coast.
Excuse me, 30.74 was Stenhouse's practice lap. 29.92 was his qualifying lap. Now remember, these cars are only competing against Group B.
Yeah, I think, but it's still, that's the benchmark. You're going to need to be around that 90s playing somewhere to make the top 5.
Academy of Country Music is on his car. They are going to hold their awards right here in Las Vegas Monday night.
Sure are. Man.
And Ross will be there.
Maybe we ought to stay.
And why aren't we going?
I know a few people. Let's see if I can get it back door in. Might have to work. Push a broom or something.
We can do
some
that.
Drinks, but I'm game.
Okay. Josh Bilicki has 3 Las Vegas starts and a best of 35th the year last March. .31.40 for the Wisconsin driver. Regan.
Austin Dillon, 4th out of Group A, getting ready to run for the pole here in just a minute. Tell me about your race car. Tell me what more you need to maybe get up there and put this thing on the front row.
Well, that was a lot from practice right there. I think some of these guys wake up a little better than I do, so it took me a little while to get going, but Justin Alexander made a great adjustment, and Resty Chevy is good. I think we can back that up and maybe a little bit more. So it's fun, a lot different driving style. I feel like it's taken right now, and just the feel of the car, you're on edge a lot, so you're trying to see how far you can get with it. But it's going to be fun. I'm glad we're in the top 10 locked in to see how far we can go forward.
Good luck.
You heard him talk about on edge and how I've always tried to explain a car and what you do behind the wheel. It's kind of like balancing, a board on top of a bowling ball or something. That's the balance of the car. You can't have it too much to the rear. Your front end's going to float and not turn. If it's too much to the front end's going to be positive. Rear end won't catch up to it. With this car, it's like being on a marble instead of a bowling ball.
Oh boy. So Corey LaJoie, 30.62. And this will be Michael McDowell. You saw that the top 5 in Group A were all in the 29s. Not relevant to Group B. These are drivers competing against themselves, but that kind of gives you a benchmark.
Yeah, 100%.
What it's going to take here.
And that's a good point. Just because those 90s were established as the rule of thumb in the top 5 doesn't mean this. It's a totally different group.
Michael McDowell, 30.23, 3rd fastest.
But I do think that there's some fast boys coming at the end of this thing. You look down the list, Denny Hamlin, a Keselowski, Ryan Blaney that was way up to the top of the sheets, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, and this guy right here in the 48. running in the middle of the racetrack again. Seems like that's the new established line around this racetrack. And you can see right there the gains that he's gained off of LaJoie in the 5th place car.
Ghost car versus the bump spot 5th, Corey LaJoie. Alex, I hate all those nicknames, Bowman. All right, we get it. 2 top 10s in his last 5. Starts at Las Vegas. And he's headed for the top of the chart, 29.95. Regan.
Like Christopher Bell, one of those guys that always adapts well to changing conditions, changing cars. So far today, that's true also. Fastest guy in that first group.
Yeah, I feel really good. I'm really proud of this 20 group. They've brought really, really great Camrys to the racetrack. Out of our 2 non-speedway races, we've been really competitive, and this week our DeWalt Camry is really strong again. So haven't had the results to, show our speed yet, but I think we got another shot at it this week.
Good luck.
Looking for his first Cup Series pole. Garrett Smithley in the 15 has 4 Las Vegas starts. And so far, fast time in Group B, still a little behind what we saw in the Fast 5 of Group A.
That being said, though, it just goes right back to what I was talking about. Bowman in the 48 showing up and running that 90. That tells me the speed's still in the racetrack. So it's going to be very important to keep an eye on the backside of this group when you got guys like that were at the top of practice, like a Ryan Blaney or a Kyle Larson or even a Joey Logano.
Well,
or even this guy right here.
Denny Hamlin, yes. With 11 drivers to go, there's a chance that none of these top 5 will be in the Fast 5.
Look at the speed that he had coming to the green. He was already, that ticker was right at the top of the sheet. Tells me he got through 3 and 4, probably wide open, carried a lot of momentum into this lap.
Winner here last September. Top 4 in the last 3 races here for Denny Hamlin. And Joe Gibbs Racing. That will bump Greg Biffle, and Hamlin now has the fastest lap of Group B, 29.80. 10 drivers to go in Group B.
The best anglers in the world battle for the biggest bass and $1 million in cash. The Bassmaster Classic begins tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern on FS1.
3, 2, 1.
We are the center of everything NASCAR.
The core of the sport you love.
Oh, big trouble. With unprecedented access,
expert analysis,
and the only place where the biggest stars from behind the wheel join us behind the desk.
That's the way we do it, boys.
NASCAR Race Hub, weeknights at 6 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app.
There's a reputation on the track, one that screams, bring it, loud enough so the whole world will see it coming. I am the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I am NASCAR.
Michael McDowell is on the bubble at a 30.23. We think Denny Hamlin in that group is safe because here are the drivers that are still to qualify.
Yeah, looking down that list, Daniel Hemrick, he's a wild card for sure. This guy right here in the 6 car, Brad Keselowski, look for him to be a fast lap. I look for Kyle Larson as an obvious. Joey Logano was fast, and Ryan Blaney was certainly really fast. You see Brad Keselowski go right to the top of the track right here, gaining that momentum. You heard me talk about Hamlin and the job that he did coming to the green, how much faster he was. Don't you think for a second Brad Keselowski wasn't watching that?
3-time Las Vegas winner, Brad Keselowski. Top 10 in 12 of the last 14 races here.
I don't think he lifted that much. Ghost car got out of control right there for a minute. But again, all he's got to be is knocking on that door. He's got to beat McDowell out. But it needs to be probably up there where you're looking right there in Bowman land. Round of 90 is what I think is what it's going to take.
Go top it a little.
Third, 30.03. That's going to be borderline to make the Fast 5. It does knock Michael McDowell out and moves rookie Harrison Burton onto the bubble.
But I put him in that wild card scenario, and I think that's exactly what it is, and that's what I love about this group qualifying is it could be good enough to make that final 10.
Bubba Wallace losing a bit off too, comparing to the bubble car Harrison Burton. Bubba was 6th in this race 2 years ago, his best finish here. He's coming back.
Look at this. Yes, sir.
He's going to get there. And Wallace is fourth. 30-14. And that's the first car we've seen with that much of a gain in 3 and 4.
But it tells me that he lost that, a little bit too much in 1 and 2. Looked like he got off into the corner really good and had to come up out of the gas. I think the car was a little bit better. Just made a bobble and made up for it in 3 and 4.
So here's Daniel Hemrick. Part-time Cup season. He is going to defend his Xfinity Series championship. And that's coming up next year on FS1.
I'm telling you, look at this. These Carlin cars are fast. Right down to the white line again in 3 and 4. Staying good. Doesn't have to come up out of the gas.
He's about to knock Dolly Parton out of the Fast 5 here. And he does. Ross Chastain is out. Bubba Wallace to the bubble. Hemrick is fourth with a 30-10, Regan.
Mike, the fastest man right now in this session. Denny Hamlin, very good lap for you. How much do you have left for that next session, though?
I got a little bit left. 3 and 4, I felt pretty good about it, but yeah, I just need to gain a little speed in 1 and 2, and I think I can do that. We adjust the car. I mean, I would take an 80 again right now, so. But I think we're probably gonna have to run low 70s or so to be right.
Good luck, Denny.
All right, we're getting serious here. Ryan Blaney, with all those 5th place finishes at Las Vegas, he is way past the bump spot. And he will knock Bubba Wallace out of the top 5. Second, 29.84 for Blaney.
I think he'll do some homework when he goes back. Obviously, he might make an adjustment or two, but one of the adjustments he's going to make within that car that they're going to point out to him, he was a little slow coming to the line than Hamlin was. Has to be a little bit better getting through 3 and 4, getting up through the gearbox, getting that momentum.
5 cars to go. Chase Briscoe led 20 laps at California. More last Sunday than in his entire Cup career to date.
Didn't even have to see it right there. I heard it in the engine. He just barely cracked out of that gas, breathed it a little bit, right back. Heard a big time bobble right there. Got a little loose into 3, but it didn't matter. Gained a lot in 1 and 2 and driving off into the sunset versus Hemrick.
And that will knock out Daniel Hemrick. Briscoe, 29.79, top of the chart.
You won. Good job.
Now, if I was Bowman looking at that, trying to gain and gauge my confidence of where I was going to make this top 5, that's probably not one of the cars that he thought was going to knock him out. Now I'm nervous.
4 cars to go. Martin Truex, the winner here in September of 2019.
All right, so that thing started bouncing around. You could see it wiggling. He had to wait on that throttle a little bit too long. Still looking really, really good.
The time in the lower left is green. That is against the bubble car, Brad Keselowski. And Keselowski's bubble bursts. Truex is 4th. Moves Alex Bowman onto the hot seat.
I told you he's going to be around those 90s.
Yep.
Business is picking up.
With 3 cars to go, Austin Cindric has 2 Cup starts on 1.5-mile tracks. Finished second here in an Xfinity Series race. For Team Penske.
Bowman, you're in trouble. Came to the green with a lot of speed right to the top of the sheet. Rolled through 1 and 2. Very, very good. Actually split the seam. Didn't ride in that middle groove. Seemed to work well for him. Right back to the throttle. This is a really good lap.
And this will leave Hamlin the only survivor from the first 9 cars in Group B. Bowman out, Cindric to second in the Fast 5 with 2 cars to go. That means Briscoe, Cindric, and Hamlin know they will advance. Truex on the hot seat, Kyle Larson, winner of 6 of the last 10 Cup races. Won 4 of the 9 on 1.5 miles last year.
Ran the bottom of the racetrack. The thing turned left for him. Didn't have to wash up. Didn't come out of the gas too loose. Gained a lot of speed. Shortest way around is the fastest way around, and he used it. That thing stuck like glue. He didn't even need the racetrack off before it gained more speed.
Truex is out. Larson top of the chart. And Larson locks in to the final round. All that's in doubt are the Penske teammates. Will it be Ryan Blaney at 29.84 or Joey Logano who has 2 Las Vegas wins.
That was a 10th and a half faster than the first group. Washed up the track just a little bit later to the throttle, but again, because of the momentum that he gained all the way through the corner, it didn't seem to hurt him quite as bad compared to the 12 of Blaney.
One of those 2 Ford Mustangs is moving on. Which one?
Look at this, washing back up, having to get out of the gas just like he did in 1 and 2. It's so close.
Logano by less than 2/100ths of a second.
Okay, if you're in that first group, you're in the top 5, you're looking at this group. We said, look at the 80s, the 90s, what we saw, the 92 being the 5th of Ricky Stenhouse. Look at this group, 60 starting out and then 82. Business is definitely picking up.
And coming up is the final round as 10 cars will run for the pole. Coming up next on FS1, the NASCAR Xfinity Series. A.J. Allmendinger, Josh Berry are on the front row. Adam Alexander, Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney will have the call.
Hey, watching that truck race last night, I can't wait to see this Xfinity race. Those guys were all over the place. A lot of action going on with the trucks.
So Group A, Ricky Stenhouse will be the first to go in the final round. They'll go slowest to fastest in Group A. Then slowest to fastest in Group B will qualify. And they'll all be mixed together and we'll have a top 10.
There ain't no Group A and B now. It's the top 10, mano a mano. Who's got the car and who's got the guts? You could see him studying lines. That's what he's doing. Throttle traces, where they were running on the racetrack, the ghost car, all those things, the telemetry, that's what he's studying. And you can bet your butt all the rest of them are doing the same thing as well.
All right, Clint, you can look at graphs all day long. How do you translate that graph to the steering wheel and the throttle pedal?
Well, 2 different answers to that. One is exactly what you talked about. The other is tell my crew chief, hey, I'm a little bit too tight here, I'm a little bit too loose there. Can you make an air pressure adjustment and help me out? Those are the conversations and the thoughts that are going on in a driver's mind like Chase Briscoe.
So here is the final round order. The 5 Group A drivers, then the 5 Group B drivers, slowest to fastest in the first round.
The other thing is, again, looking at Ricky Stenhouse, you heard him talk about the commitment. It takes a commitment to go in there. A lot of unknowns coming off of race trim, right? Your car's going to have more grip. The tires are pumped up. The setup is adjusted for a qualifying trim. Now he knows what he has for a race car. Again, maybe a little bit of a tweak of air pressure adjustment here and there, but he's going to rifle that thing off in the corner and go for it now. Not much to lose.
Nope. Now, why are there only 5 drivers lined up? Because the drivers that just qualified in Group B are in their pit stalls, hooked up their cool down machines, just as these cars were while the Group B cars ran. Trying to make it as equal as possible.
100%. And the equal comes from tire pressures, cooling the thing down, the cycle on your tires. Because of those group qualifying sessions like the way it is, it's an equal time, I guess a timeout for both sets of cars. This is the biggest difference that I saw. It's just trying to see, you can see him make an adjustment, running up the racetrack a little bit, trying to stay wide open, carrying as much momentum as you can. Those are the things we started with. I started noticing it with Keselowski, and it just further progressed on through Larson.
Well, how about this, Clint? A single car team breaking into the top 10 for pole runs here.
And knocking a lot of mega teams out. A guy like Alex Bowman, Kevin Harvick, a lot of guys that you thought were going to be up front.
Yeah, it looked good.
No such thing. Single car operation with a 47 bunch doing the deal.
Carrying a lot of air under that nose. More than I think we saw on some of the cars that did not advance. 30.04.
Not quite what he was wanting to expect. Again, I think it's the commitment. You drive it off in there, rifle the thing off in the corner. If it takes off, so be it. The worst you're going to do is 10th. Not a bad day at qualifying.
So Austin Dillon, a final word on that 1,000,000 rounds of ammo his granddad sent to the Ukraine. He's on the board of a company that makes ammunition, headed up by Fred Wagenhals, the fellow that ran Action Performance and made all those Earnhardt die-cast cars back in the day.
Yeah, those two made a lot of money back in the day, and they're doing that. Now they're making a lot of money in bullets. The company called Ammo.
Well, but that's a
Look at
great
this.
gesture.
And that's where it was. You saw when I talked about commitment, the 47 of Stenhouse drove it off in the corner and had to lift where the 3-car didn't, and watch the lap time difference. Just
the difference
really,
is
though,
only
not much.
6/1000ths of a second.
Takes me all the way back to turns 1 and 2. He gained in 3 and 4 and didn't have a good 1 and 2.
See what Chase Elliott can do in his Hendrick Camaro.
I see he struggled coming to the green, but obviously just rolled through 1 and 2 so much faster with momentum. Didn't have to come out of the gas like Stenhouse did in the Ghost car.
Elliott ran a 29.80 in round 1.
Cars was loose getting down to the white line. The first half of the corner in 3 and 4 had to come up out of the gas, burped it a little bit. Obviously fast with a 71, but can be a little bit faster.
Good
You
job.
see him breathe the
71,
throttle a little
left.
bit. That means to tell you there's a little bit more out on the racetrack if somebody can find it.
He picked up 9/100ths of a second over the first round. Now Tyler Reddick in the second Richard Childress Racing Camaro had a 29.77 in the first round.
Flip side of that, we said that the 9 didn't get to the green quite as good. You saw Reddick getting to the green, but he can't roll through 1 and 2. Opposite ends of the perspective. Did all he could do coming to it. Car washed out and not quite fast enough through the center of the corner. Just like he did in the first round of qualifying, ran the middle of the racetrack, and in my opinion is going to pay the price right there. Just gives up too much real estate.
29.80, right on top of what he ran in round 1. Christopher Bell for Joe Gibbs Racing, hoping for his first pole in the Cup Series, 29.75 in round 1.
Car didn't quite point good enough in 1 and 2. You saw it, the nose of it was headed the wrong direction. It's something that you really pay attention to behind the wheel is the point of the race car. But speaking of point, boy, that's, you heard me say the 9 had to crack out of the gas getting into 3. Look at the difference that it made. When I said there was a little bit more out there on the racetrack, that's exactly what Christopher Bell in the 20 found.
And wow, he picked up 2/10 from round 1 and is currently fastest.
Definitely the fastest out of the first round. Even Kyle Larson with that 61. Shots fired.
So no bumping here in the final round. All these drivers know they will start in one of the top 10 positions on Sunday for the 400-miler here. Joey Logano was 5th in round 1 with a 29.82. That lap would put him 4th in this group.
Way up the racetrack on both ends. Just doing what we were talking about, trying to get that thing wound up, making the track as big as possible for momentum. You can see it again. I call it point. The thing just didn't seem to point quite as good. You know, it didn't turn left as good through the center of the corner as Christopher Bell. And just look at the momentum that you lose all the way through the rest of the corner.
Going to be very close to what he ran on the first lap. 29.77. He picks up 5/100ths and slots in 3rd. Austin Cindric, 29.79 in round 1 for Team Penske. A little better than Logano coming off turn 2 here, but gives a little up down the straightaway. Cindric second, 29.70. He picked up almost a 10th.
A good lap for him. Anybody they can pick up from their first seems to be, you know, doing a good job, and that's a pretty big pickup for the 2 of Austin Cindric.
Denny Hamlin, 29.80 in round 1.
He's going to pull it to the bottom of the racetrack. Didn't quite get there. I think you're going to see him pay the price off of 2 and down the back straightaway momentum-wise. And look at the difference. So you get down to 3 and 4. You know you've lost it and picked up. That's the hardest thing as a race car driver, to not try to overcome and make up that deficit in 3 and 4. Let the car give you what it gives you and don't overdrive it and make yourself even worse. But again, that's what I like about this format. It's top 10s. The worst you're going to do, go out there and put it on the line, because the worst you're going to get is a top 10 starting position, which is pretty darn good.
Hamlin, exactly what he ran in round 1, within a thousandth of a second. Chase Briscoe, 29.79 in round 1. That lap would put him 4th in round 2.
You can hear it in the throttle. He did a good job getting across the center. This thing started to lose the nose a little bit on the exit when you start talking about off of turn 2 and had to lift. Now he's lifting even more, a little bit tighter here. But I like what I'm seeing out of Chase Briscoe. Almost a totally different kid than you saw last year. Last year in his rookie season, he seemed timid. I saw him this morning in the elevator. It just seems like he's got more confidence, and you can tell it behind the wheel of the race car. Still a good lap in 3rd.
He is 3rd fastest. He picks up almost a 10th, 3rd behind Bell and Cindric.
Well, Mike,
well, Clint,
you think he can do it?
If he runs 29.61, which he ran in the first round, he'll be 2nd to Christopher Bell. He needs to pick up half a tenth and then some.
And this is where Bell was so strong, off of 2 and down the back straightaway, and you could see the momentum. I think that car's trimmed out more than the rest. I think they were a bit more aggressive with their trim on the car, having that thing down in the back, and you can see the speed difference. And I don't think Kyle Larson has anything for him.
Larson is 2nd by a 10th of a second. Christopher Bell has just won his first Busch Light pole in the NASCAR Cup Series in his 75th start. Regan.
Well, Christopher Bell getting congratulations from his team. Your first career pole. You will lead him to the line on Sunday, bud.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I haven't got to qualify very much in my Cup career, so I'll tell you what, that's a hell of a lot more fun than qualifying a 550 package, though.
How much do you have to think about overnight now? You've got the pole. You're going to start from the first position. How much do you have to think about this race car and what you need to do Sunday to stay up there all day long?
Yeah, I mean, I feel really good about our DeWalt Camry, that's for sure. You know, in practice, it took probably 2 runs to get the balance where I was comfortable, but I knew right off our first run out, I felt like we were pretty competitive. So really happy with where we're at. I love Las Vegas. I wish it was going to be a little bit warmer so we could slide around a little bit more, but Vegas always puts on a great race.
Good luck Sunday.
Christopher Bell, your pole sitter, 2nd driver to score his first career pole this season. Bell, P1. Kyle Larson, outside pole. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Las Vegas, where the front row is set for tomorrow's 400-mile race. Christopher Bell with his first Cup Series pole. I said first in, 70-some starts, but remember, most of those races we didn't have qualifying. The field was set, and the drivers came in, hopped in their cars, and raced. Kyle Larson on the outside pole. Regan?
Well, Mike, Kyle Larson is just a little bit slower than what he ran in the first round. Christopher Bell actually went a little bit quicker than what he ran in the first round. Your car didn't have as much time to sit here and cool down, though. Was that the difference for you?
I don't know. My balance was just a little bit tighter there that second run, and I got through 1 and 2 pretty good, and just missed the bottom by a little bit in 3 and 4, and kind of had a little too much wheel in it, I felt, and probably bogged down some. So it's hard to say. I mean, he did sit for a long time, but you don't really know. There's no facts that state that it was much better there. But either way, Christopher ran a great lap, and I felt good about mine. Just came a little short.
You had to start from the rear last week, managed to find your way to the front, win the race. This week you're going to start from the front row. How much different will this race be for you because of that?
I don't know. Hopefully everything goes smooth with checks tomorrow, and we don't have to go to the back for any reason. My car felt really good in practice. I felt like our long run speed was really strong. So hopefully we can just maintain this track position and end up in victory lane again.
Thanks, Kyle.
Kyle Larson will roll off from the outside pole. When we come back, we'll take a look at the starting lineup for tomorrow's race. The field is set for tomorrow in Las Vegas, 400 miles. And here's a nice surprise with Regan Smith.
Mike Chase Briscoe, been so good this year already, qualify 4th for tomorrow. So how do you feel about your race car for the race?
Yeah, we definitely struggled in practice and just kept making gains. And that last run, we kind of hit on something. So I feel like we have a really good Mahindra tractors forward. It's going to be nice to start up front. We haven't done that a whole lot, even last year. So try to capitalize on that. Like you said, we've had good speed, and hopefully we can finish the deal off tomorrow.
Thanks, Chase.
That's his best start on an oval ever.
In the Cup Series, yeah. Well done. Let's have a look at it. Toyota Chevrolet front row, Bell and Larson. 2 Fords in row 2, Cindric and Briscoe. Chevy Ford, Elliott and Logano in row 3.
I like Tyler Reddick right there. That's a good row. But Danny Hamlin on his outside, he needs for some redemption from last weekend.
And then the Chevys of Stenhouse and Dillon. Those were the top 10 that just ran in the final round. Ryan Blaney in the 6th row with Truex. Teammates Bowman and Byron. Keselowski and Hemrick. Wallace, Chastain, Burton, Almirola, the top 20. $37 cars in all here in Las Vegas.
Closer, clear back in row 13, and Kevin Harvick. He's got some closing to do. He's going to have to close in the gap, try to drive up through the field.
I like row 12, Eric Jones, Cole Custer, a couple drivers who've shown speed in the early part of this year.
And then talk about work. Look at Kyle Busch, clear back, dead last. Last to first. Can he do it? At home.
Crashed in practice, backup car. And I'll bet a number of cars coming off of that car for the backup.
Look at the difference, man. We're changing the underbody of that thing laying on the ground. The seat, for crying out loud. That was pretty much across the board with all 4 teams. A backup car. Who needs it? There's no engine in that car. Looking on the front end, a lot of work to be done in this 18 camp before they get that car race ready for tomorrow.
Today on FS1, race day is next. And then the Xfinity race, it's going to be a Dinger Berry front row. Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney will join Adam Alexander for the call. Adam is doing his prep next door and will be with you shortly. NASCAR race day starts now.